live stream this. So the excitement of what we're seeing can be shared. All right, that's up. And with that, I think we're going to get started with Team 37. So if Team 37 wants to get your videos up, and welcome. So Team 37, how are we doing it?
Yeah, good.
So if you guys want to join, I think Leo's going to share his screen as an observer. Is that right?
Yeah. So when I share this, I will share the screen later, and I'll be the host to do the inspector mode at the first time. I think we can play 2 runs. So first run, I'll play as the inspector mode, and TA and Dave is welcome. And the Mo will be welcome to be a guest to play the game. And then so the next round, I will also become the guest as well, and so we can play together.
All right, so how many people are joining in?
We're looking for 7 or 8.
Okay. And your Windows build, right?
Yeah, we're Windows build.
That's right.
I'll have to be a spectator.
Oh, yes.
All right, so I guess is the team going to fill in up to 7? Do you want? All right.
Yeah, we're also there.
All right, so I guess let us know what to do. Like, do you want us to run right now? Like, what's the?
Yeah, you can just run right now. Okay.
Yep.
I'll create your run.
Maybe you should start sharing the screen already. Like,
okay, I'm going to share
the process of creating room and stuff.
I'll reopen it again.
Make sure you're optimized to share video too.
Name. I'm entering a name in. Gonna create the name.
Yo, did you optimize for video?
Did this? No.
When you shared screen?
You can check the box when you can try reshare the screen so that you can set the settings.
Oh, but you can.
Wait. How can I do that? Sorry.
So
when you go to
click
share screen. Sorry, go ahead, Annie.
Okay. So when you click share screen, there's like 2 little boxes at the bottom. Check
okay.
both.
Okay, check. I got it. Thank you. Might go through a little bit for the tutorial. So
Is a room available yet?
yeah, I'm going to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and you have to pick the character you would like. Our becomes the observer mode, which is the flying camera.
So when you're playing the game, you can press M to mute or unmute the BGM.
Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
Right, all keyboard based. This is my character. Ooh, the floor is so shiny. What am I grabbing?
Ooh, Peter got licked right now.
I have to hold the J button to keep holding things. It seems true. All right. There's a lot of wind up on the animation.
Yeah.
Over here. The person with the crown is. What is that flying through the air?
So the crown is we will know who is the leading man.
Yeah, I know. Nice. Very. I'm smashing people with a shoe display.
Yeah.
I feel like my feet are much smaller than that shoe. What does hitting people do? Does it just
So
make them drop their
people
stuff?
drop stuff when you hit them.
Yeah, we're gonna drop it down.
Gotcha. Okay. I have a giant can of stuff. Bottle over here.
Now it's pretty close. Four, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Yes, come on. Oh, let me crazy now. So Annie, with winner is Annie in the first round. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you were so good.
Yeah. So I can create a room again. And this time I would also be the character as well.
And what's the camera?
Oh, so the camera will be the observer mode. You can also play that as well.
Yeah, feel free to choose the camera and just observe everything.
Yeah, you can. It's also use the WASD to move the camera, and you can use your mouse to rotate the camera angle. Okay, everybody's ready now. Let's go.
So for camera mode, I'm basically a character in space that's invisible that can fly around.
You're pretty much invisible.
Oh, we just cook up.
I can share the screen if you don't mind.
Yeah, you can share. You can share.
But
Take it
I
over.
think sometimes,
You like to share?
yeah. I think
Awesome.
there's some internet connection issue once in a while. I'm not sharing the sound, right?
Yeah.
Give me a second. Share computer sound. Oops.
You may not be optimized to share video.
Oh, Wait, give me a sec.
If
Don't
you
worry
stop
about
the
that.
share, yeah, and then you'll see.
I think it works. No. Am I sharing the screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, even if you got kicked out, you can always come back and like join as observer to basically fly around
Yeah.
the scene and watch people hitting each other.
Somehow my
Oh.
character cannot pick up anything anymore for the last 30 seconds.
Right.
But you still win. It's crazy.
All right, you guys want to? Well, let's first before we get into the theming plan. I kind of want to let's talk through the experience we got to sort of play and watch.
Alright.
So first off, like the world looks really great. I mean, you got the characters have really been brought to life. The space like has a nice sort of polished feel. The fact that you can, I think it feels like you can pick up pretty much anything now. At least like you've got sort of like this idea that before it was a question of like is some of the stuff like you can pick it up and like some just like mounted to the walls, and now it's like no, if you can see it, you can basically pick it up and use it. Which just sort of getting in there and grabbing things was what I wanted, and so like being able to do that was really nice. I mean, you've got a lot of like nice details. The characters, I said, like look really nice. They're moving really well, and you've got just sort of like the general vibe. I think is working pretty well. The thing that I was noticing, especially as I was watching it, is you still have like you have this tension between score and shopping and fighting. And I went into the first round. I was like, okay, this is like fighting is a major part of this. I'm gonna go and like hit people because like that's sort of my sense of the world. And I sort of became aware as like, no, this world isn't about fighting. It's about like getting points, and you get no points for fighting. Correct? Like you can interrupt other people's shopping, but you get no points for fighting.
Yeah.
Seems like the strategy is just grab stuff and shop and get your points to go up. And I think that's one of the things that watching it then in observer mode is sort of noticeable, is the pattern seems to be just keep grabbing stuff and taking to the counter. And as such, I'm not sure the way the world plays out is as the world sort of sets itself up to be. I think that ends up minimizing the interaction between the guests, and that was I think it was a little frustrating for me, just like thinking that fighting would be something that would be sort of a meaningful choice, and it seems a little bit like it's not quite there as a choice in terms of the balance. Like the trade-offs and the strategy are like, yeah, like grabbing things and fighting with them like doesn't really get you too much in terms of giving yourself a chance to win. The other piece of that might tie into this that I sort of noticed was you have a lot of like feedback in terms of like some audio and like when you cash something in, when you hit someone, they sort of say ow. But man, like I was kind of hungry for like knowing what was happening based on that. Like when I hit someone, it was a question in my head was what is happening? And like what is sort of like effective about this? And so I was sort of looking for that learning of, oh, if you hit someone, really clearly they drop their thing, or really clearly you get points. And it was more of you hear a sound effect and it's not clear, like if you hit someone once, they drop something, And so like understanding the sort of like the rules of the world, I was a little bit looking for those moments of this is what this means. And another example is when you cash something in, you get a really clear sound effect, but nowhere on your screen is an indicator of how much it was worth. And I think if you can stare at it, you can see that your score goes up, but it's that that like where I'm looking, where my attention is, that moment of like, what does this mean, is something that I was looking for. So I think that's sort of like the place of iteration. The two big ones for me are how do you get the balance between sort of shopping and fighting, and like how would you bring fighting more to the equal footing with shopping, and then how do you get the guests to sort of like see it and know like that's like I grabbed this and this is really worth a lot, and things like that. You had one question. There's a present, a box.
That's kind of the buff. So it will become like bigger and faster for like few seconds.
I was trying to figure out what it did. I think I noticed it made me bigger, but I was struggling to know exactly what it did. And I think that sort of like ties into like the general pieces. There's everything in here is functioning and a lot of stuff is working well, but like that last piece of feedback of like explain to me as a guest like what this does. That's where I was sort of looking for that information, because as I was playing it, my brain was like struggling. What does this mean? How do I incorporate this into a strategy, and how do I get to a place?
Yeah.
And like I said, when I went back to as an observer watching, I was like, oh, like I was just noticing the patterns. Like no one's fighting, like everyone's just grabbing stuff, and it's a race for the score. And I was like, that's why I lost. Like I played the first round as like I'm gonna go in and fight, and I got 0 points. And so I think that's what I was looking at. Mo, you were watching it for the duration.
Yeah, I mean, like first and foremost, I think you guys are doing have like synthesized feedback in a nice way. It's really starting to look like Black Friday. There's like a lot of chaos. There's people running around, hitting people with TVs. So from a spectator point of view, it looks like a scene I've seen before, and everything's caricatured in a great way too. The characters, I love the large hands and the small feet and the round bellies. Like I think if you didn't make those choices, I don't think this would work so well. And I think in all, it's like a really nice caricature of American culture. And I'd probably dig into that deeper. So rather than a box floating around and that not being so intuitive to Dave, what it does, it could maybe have a concession stand with like hot dogs or something like that, where it's like more obvious they want to eat, these power-ups or something like that. Yeah. And I think on top of that, most of the UI design really complements that. I love the icons of the different characters. That all maps really well. I think the scoreboard could use a little more work. And in that area, along with the scoreboard, is when you cash something in, it's hard to tell from a spectator point of view, but it seems like there should be a better payoff there. Like you have a nice sound effect, you have a little particle system, but like you should really feel that payoff of your score going up. And I think the scoreboard left something to be desired a little bit. The floor is a little shiny, put some roughness map on that, little grunge here and there. Again, dig into that kind of like American culture aspect of like what these floors really look like in these stores. What else? I think to that end, you could also maybe look into controlling the guest a bit more and where they are and what they're doing. Like maybe there's flash deals that become worth more points, so everybody tries to converge on them. That might encourage the fighting mechanics that you have a bit more. Maybe some obstacles, maybe some power-ups are booby traps, so that people can start developing a little strategy. I think you have a strong initial prototype. It looks compelling. I think some aspects need polish. I think there's a lot of ways to take it to that next level. And finally, it seems like the handling of the objects is a little bit of a tech art problem that needs to be solved a little bit more. Like The TVs weren't quite convincing that they were really carrying them or hitting people with them. At one point, I thought the shopping cart like looked really good, but not all the objects had that kind of tactile feeling like they were being picked up.
Yeah, and I think to that point, man, it's you achieve the feel though of I can pick anything up and I can use it as a weapon, which is an ambitious thing to take on. Like getting that system going. I think it's pretty much working, and I think a lot of this is just now, especially for jury. Like, what would you do to iterate some of these moments and to sort of like make what you want the guest to feel like come through. And I think it is especially like celebrating some of those pieces. I would also look at, I think to Mo's point, like, how do you sort of like, how do you control the interest curve? This is sort of like a 2-minute experience, and it's pretty flat all the way through, outside of the action that the guests provide. And so the ending, if you're in the middle of it, I think you can have a sense, especially if you are consciously like sort of like fighting for first place with someone else, like that can be exciting. But for spectators, that's a little bit lost. And so how do you bring that sort of excitement, especially to the end, would be a thing I would look at.
I just want to add, I think this is a really good looking piece, looks really high quality. Put a little time into documenting your work. I mean, that goes for everyone in the course. Like, document your work well, get nice footage of it, document the character models well, and the UX UI. It all fits together well. So make sure you do that work. Don't just grab one playthrough.
Do you guys want to pull up your theming plan? Your proposal for guest flow and for the room layout?
Yes. May I share this now?
You should have screen sharing capability.
Okay. So your team 37, our game is the Shopify. So this is the thing we're currently design. It's quite like the department store. So we're using the environment models from the game, and the build machine would be looks like our shopping cart, and the checkout would be to join the Zoom call. So after the playtest, we want to make the guest experience flow becomes like as simple as possible. So we don't want to make too many things in our room. Just let them know they only need to grab a build and then just join our Zoom link so they can play the game together. And so members arrangements, we need one host who stay in the main room, and that host will introduce the world and the gameplay introduction, and also help to assign the people to the breakout room, which means in game and in Zoom. And also after they play the game, we're going to ask some feedback, ask them to leave some comment. And there is a need like one camera operator kind of monitor to create a room in the game and streaming the game by sharing screen and observer mode. So these people will help us to like to streaming for the gameplay. The gameplay will also be sharing in the main Zoom. So when people get into the main Zoom, the first time they can know, oh, how this game working, how to play this. So they can have a rough pictures. And then we need people to team members to become like our cell or like a public relation. So basically, we're going to just walk in the cloud work. So inviting people to become join our room, become our guest, and then also help to guide the guest like step by step in our room. I think that was through the typing feature like cloud work and also the chat booth. Like just tell people, okay, you have to download the build first and then join the Zoom, so people will not lost in our room. And for our guest journey breakdown, first step they have to come to our room, and we're trying to have a trailer so they can see our world and have a basic image and hope they have the interest in our game. So then they would download the build and join the Zoom link, and they watch the live gameplay at first, and then they can assign to the breakout room and watch the tutorials that I showed in the game beginning. And then it's time to shop. And yeah, we are looking for, they want to play like 2 or 3, like multiple times. And then when they leave, we hope them like also leave some comment and feedback.
Quick question. So the guests who are playing are in a breakout room?
We are still trying that because like in the playtest, we not have like 2 rooms in the same time, but they can play in a breakout room. So we were thinking about like, because people might talk in the room, if there's like too many people there and like too noisy, we can try to assign them to the breakout room and play.
I think this is just a thing to think about for your world.
Yeah.
Getting to the point of like the audience is understanding what's going on. One thing to consider is like the as a player, I can get all the information I need, I think, from the screen and from the play. But the guest view, the audience view, you're gonna have that the spectator view, which I think is a good idea. One thing I would wonder is, what other audio do you want? Do you want the host like trying to like talk over like, oh, it's really close between this? Do you want like sort of like an announcer, like a live announcer talking through what's going on, sort of like break it down for the audience? And the other question is, do you want the guests who are playing to, hear their audio? Do you want to like, try it out with they're all unmuted and I can hear what they're saying? And I don't know, like I'd be curious in the play. It might get confusing because I don't have a good connection for who's speaking and who that character is. It could also make things come to life a bit more, and I think that would be a thing I'd watch for. I don't know if there's I think the answer might come through like iteration and playing, but I would look at that as a thing you do. But I think overall the question for you guys is, how do you sort of bring this to life for the audiences and make this something that people watch and sort of get excited about? Because actually, like the score here was close. Like these matches had, I think, tension in who was winning, and leaning on that and making that understandable to the audience would be where I would especially want to like have you guys emphasize for jury. Like, how do you make this something that people watching want to jump in and do themselves? And I think getting that to be clear would be where I would look. But yeah, I mean, I think I love the theming of like the shopping space. It's sort of obvious, but it just seeing your visual of like, oh yeah, making this feel like that is really good. I would be a little careful about getting too cute with metaphors. So I think you want to balance with clarity, but I think just the theming of like coming in to the room and it feeling like your shopping center, and then going and playing it will be really nice. So yeah, I mean, fundamentally, you've got a really clear world, getting into the idea of Black Friday, and all that stuff is working great. Like all the visuals and the fantasy are working really well together. I think it's now, how do you get that sort of externalized excitement? How do you sort of like bring that to life in a way that is, I think you guys, I think you guys know like what you want that to sort of like elevate to, and like how do you sort of get that to jury and get those little touches to bring those moments to life a little more. But yeah, overall, great work.
So we are answering the Professor your question. We're thinking about like trying to do the like live announce, like show the audience like, who is leading now, and their points are pretty close. Try to make they feel like excited and like nervous for the intensive competition. But we also wondering like if some guests they join our Zoom at the beginning and they maybe trying to ask like, oh, what is this world doing? How to play something like. So we don't want the audience to bother the player maybe who is maybe like pretty focused on the competition. That's might be the one of the reason we think we might use the breakout room. Yeah, but we're still thinking about and we're still trying to plan.
Well, and I think the question is, when I join the Zoom call, like, what am I getting into? Like, am I coming to watch a match?
Yeah, was what we're thinking about.
And I think if you curate that, if you sort of like make that an event, and I mean, your world sort of feels like it wants to be this, like almost like, you know, professional wrestling, like this over the top. Here are the competitors. They're coming in, like setting up the beginning, and then those moments, and then like, you know, declaring victory. Like that kind of feels like where this wants to go. And I think right now it feels a little bit like, oh look, it's going. Like let's see what's happening. And I think that's and I think making that clear from the entry point too, like, you know, the next match is about to start, you know, competitors, like, come in, like, get ready. I know, like, that ability to set up that anticipation from the virtual space, from the CloudWorks space, might take some extra work, but making it clear, like, why the spectators are coming in the first place, and like making the match itself an event is what I would sort of like push you guys to get to, is like, this is sort of like an exciting big deal, and then that gets to like crowning the winner and sort of like celebrating that victory through the whole thing. And you have that going on. I mean, you have this giant crown floating over the person's head. So I was sort of like lean into that. Like that's a great that is a great piece for the audience, especially. And so how do you sort of make that significant? Lead changes are a great moment for you guys, right? And one thing I might do is, like, if you're thinking about doing some iteration for jury, is, you know, what would you say as an announcer? Like, what are the moments you would highlight? And, you know, can you add a little bit to the world that helps you recognize that? But then also, can you, if you're the host, can you sort of practice that? And like, what would you do? If you had all the time in the world, I would almost suggest you'd have a secret host mode where you are the spectator, the flying around, and you can do stuff like you can trigger sound effects and things like that. And all of a sudden, like, the world doesn't have to detect it. You can just like have a human detect it. It's like, oh, like that was, you know, like, you know, you can like trigger like the 10-second countdown and like have things go on. And it gets to the idea of like making this sort of a live experience, and that you're emphasizing moments and sort of like forcing that interest curve in some sense.
I think you guys could go do a lot with the theming of this. I can imagine you having I don't know if you have the right personalities on your team, but if someone feels comfortable enough, like ad-libbing as an announcer, like saying, you know, Dave takes the lead, oh, he knocks down Annie and surpasses, you know, that could be a lot of fun, and that would inform the audience really well what's going on. Likewise, when they arrive, you could definitely have a team saying, like, you know, we're about to have a great sale. If anybody wants to come into the store and try it out, and just like get into character that you guys work at this retail store or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Good work. Congratulations. Round 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to Team 38. Team 38 is when you get your videos up. And tell us what we're going to be doing.
So basically we need 4 players. So I don't know, like you can just open the game and create a room, like.
All right, so we should all run the game right now.
Yeah.
And Do you want someone to share the screen? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Is that how you're gonna run it?
If like no, if we're chosen by like the jury, we will probably make another like observer mode. So basically, if working that way, we'll like share the screen. But for now, we'll just ask one of the guests to share the screen. Yeah.
Okay. I will go ahead and share. Let's do that. All right. I'll log in.
Mhm.
Should I create a
Yeah.
room too?
Yeah.
And we need 3 other guests, Steph. I'm ready. Karen. All right.
Start. Yeah.
So we're just gonna run it.
Yeah.
I will right click. All right. Left click. All right. Left click. All right. Right click. All right. Sleepy Ghost. We're gonna click. E button to skip. On the ghost. Sweet. All right, let's get this going. Any way for me to tell if I'm visible or not? Should I pull down for this? Oh, what? It says I can't see in the dark, but where is the dark?
You guys can't see Dave. Is that what's going on?
We can only see him when he's in very, very close proximity to us. Or like if we saw him in the flashlight. Oh! I'm dead. Oh, I see. Oh.
Keep getting stuck at times, and it's not clear why. share. I think I lost.
Yeah.
All right. So the the techno toads, like doing their party. The still the concept is weird, but it works in a weird sort of way. And now you've got this the tutorial at the beginning, like going through it, getting a sense of these characters. All that seems to be working pretty well. Sort of like just talking through like the experience. I was definitely like mixed between like I've got a sense of what I'm doing and how to do it, and like having a lot of moments of like why did that happen in surprise. So like I had a good sense of like what I needed to do. Like I needed to stun the toads, and I had a vague sense, like on my screen there's like a UI of like how many generators they fixed, and I know from your world that the generators are sort of the counter for success. I'm just trying to remember, like, how did I learn that through the experience, and like the sense that that's sort of like the overall driving major success for the world. But as I was experiencing, I knew like, okay, like I'm thinking about the number of generators, how many there are. And I'm watching the toads, and I'm trying to stun them. I was definitely like one of the things I was struggling with was the whole idea of sort of being in the dark and being visible was told to me, but I never really was able to use. There was no like, oh, I'm in the dark and I'm invisible. It was really like, it felt like the toads can zap me, was basically the way it felt. Was if the toads zap me, I got sort of like zapped and sent back. And if I zap them, I could stun them. And so like the sense of I'm sneaky and invisible, like no, like I think I said it, like, where is the darkness? The world didn't have for me a sense of, oh, it's dark for me, I'm invisible, but here with the flashlight, it's light and I don't want to go there. And I sort of like wasn't able to use that concept. And I used more the idea that if the toads aren't facing me, they can't see me. And so the fact that I was seeing it behind them, and I think there was like that worked for me in the sense of like what the metaphor of it was, but because of that, I wasn't really connecting on the being in the shadows versus being in the light. As the ghost, I get to stun them, and I found myself, it was interesting because my movement is pretty fluid, and the stun feels like it's a sphere, like kind of in front of me, and because of that, I was like didn't know how to aim it, and I think I had a lot of moments where I tried to stun, but it didn't work because my aim was off, and I wasn't too sure if aim was a thing I should be thinking about. And part of this is the beginning, as I was going through it, you had this kind of comprehensive tutorial like to go through the moments, which was nice to get me a sense of like the actions I can do. Like I went through and I knew like these are the things that would happen, but I never got a good sense of stunning. Is it like an area effect? Is it like, around me? Is it just in front of me? The distance it has to affect, and part of that for me was the visualization of it was what felt like a sphere, kind of in front of me. And I think I felt like I may have only hit about a third of my stuns, and I end up getting a little frustrated of like, why can't I stun properly? And I think that was I had sort of a similar reaction in getting stunned myself. Like I got stunned at times and I didn't know why. And I think that was like probably for me, like where I was getting a little bit frustrated was the connection between the actions I know I want to do and the world giving me feedback on can I do it and did it succeed and things like that. Now I had really good feedback of like success and failure. Like when I stunned someone, I knew I stunned them and it felt good. Like I was like, yes, like someone got stunned. And then I think when I got hit, the reset was really clear. There were times where I didn't know like the cause and effect of it. But I think the consequences were really strong for me. So I felt all of that. And so I think it was just a little bit in some of the details of, I wanted to have the ability to get better at my role. And I was like, and from one perspective, that's really good because I knew what I wanted to do and I knew sort of how I wanted to do it, but there's a little bit of like feedback that I wanted that was sort of missing on that side. Then the other thing is a lot of the UIs at the top of the screen. So like I have a reset at the very top of mine. Like I think it's a cooldown, and my vision is like very much centered in the middle of the screen. And so I had to force myself to like look up and look around at the UI because it wasn't where I was looking. And so like that cooldown was really, I had a cooldown like in the top corner, and it was actually really difficult through the play to like see the cooldown of my attack. And I think that's just like another little piece of like polish that would be nice, is like to have it much more in my play space as opposed to the edges of my play space. And then the ending, I knew I'd lost. It did feel a little anticlimactic for me to end. And I think part of it was the ghost. I think this is the question I'll be interested in on the other side. Well, I guess everyone got to watch the ghost view, right? They were watching my screen. That last moment, I didn't feel like I had much I could do to sort of stop it. And I wasn't too sure, like, you know, with the last generator, I didn't know where it was. So I wasn't really clear on the moment of the end, like how it's going to play out. So I knew it was sort of happening, but it still sort of took me by surprise that, oh, the last generator happened and it's over. So that sense of progress was a little bit missing for me. I could see the number going up, but I really didn't know at any given moment which generator the other team was focusing on and what they'd sort of done. I think if I had to do like one major iteration of like that sense of feedback, the idea of darkness and light, and it's possible it's there and I just sort of missed it, but a generator turning on feels like it should have a really significant impact on the environment. And it would be, as the sort of like watching it, like seeing the environment sort of coming, like, boom, this got activated, would sort of help me with the sense of progress. No?
So this is the one I missed last week, which I think is going to work out as an advantage to you guys because I'm coming in totally naive. And I was a little confused. I think it's cool that you have, you know, this theme with a lot of personality of Technotoads, but I did not get that they were Technotoads. And I think maybe the biggest piece of feedback I can give you for that is I was really confused as to where we were and what we were doing. First, I thought we were in a room, the way it was like just the initial view, and because they were like, I saw bottles there, but the bottles were like a weird scale compared to the toads, and I wasn't sure like how everything related to itself or the world around it. I'm still not totally sure. If I had to guess, I'd say we're on a roof somewhere. Yeah. So kind of establish the space first and put some buildings around it so it feels like we are up high and in the middle of a city. If you're going to do something quirky like Technotoads, like, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing that? And then start building that world a little bit better in terms of, do these toads just walk around? Or, I mean, why don't the toads jump around? Like, wouldn't that be more fun if they were Technotoads? And then the other thing that Dave kind of touched upon is the lighting needs to be a lot more obvious. So if the lighting is not just a mechanic, but kind of a character in all of this, I would do very hard lighting with clear lighting sources so that you have this distinction of like when you step into the light and when you don't. And overall, everything felt really dark all the time. It never felt like there were things really illuminated. So I don't know, maybe just putting some street lights in, or some spot, some techno lights, that were dynamic. That might be fun. The sound design needs to overlap a bit more. So right now it's kind of like something happens and a sound effect plays, and then something else happens and a sound effect plays. And so what you get is like this linear progression of the sound design, and it'd be nice to build that up a bit more, make some of those events overlap and the sound overlap. From a spectator point of view, and I think this will be important for jury, the camera felt a little bit dizzying, and maybe that was just me. So I wouldn't want you to, I would take that with a grain of salt, but I would look into it. I don't know if it was dizzying as a player. Sometimes when you're playing it, it's less dizzying to watch it, but the majority of your audience won't be actually playing it. So I'm curious if the players felt that it was a little dizzying, or other folks watching it. But I would look into that and just do a little diligence there, because you don't want that to be the thing that breaks your experience.
Do you guys want to pull up the theming plan?
Yeah, sure. Actually, sorry, is it okay if we like mention certain things? I think like those things that you mentioned, we actually implemented. It's just that maybe it's not clear enough for the naive players, because as the ghost, when you go under the light, actually your material is like clearer compared to like when you are outside the light. But yeah, all this iteration. And then when you fix the generator, we also have like light that is generated accordingly.
Oh.
So we have one spotlight for each generator, and eventually it will be the ultimate light. Yeah, but yeah, we'll definitely put more effort into making it more obvious.
Right. I'm just saying make it more obvious. I just posted a
Yeah.
picture to a Destiny 2 dungeon where they use light as a mechanic. Is super obvious when you're in darkness and when you're in light.
Yeah.
So, just push it more.
Sure.
Yeah, and part of this is the balance between sort of like feedback, gameplay feedback, and aesthetics. And I think in this space, it's sort of like feedback first, aesthetic second, in the sense that you need the guest to get it, and then you want to iterate it so it feels like part of the world.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. You want to bring up the theming stuff?
Yeah. So I'll light them up. And this is a summary of experience where one of you will play as a Stevie Ghost and the other one will be as a Toad. And it will be a battle between whether you can set up the party or whether the Ghost will go to sleep. So the concept art for the exterior is we decide to put a 2D pixel art and a text box to encourage people to come. So it will look something like this, where there's a ghost card and then Toad standee and some text along. And for the interior, our rough design is more of a chat box download. This is our rough design. So after the playtest, we added a barrier because we felt that a lot of the guests, they are not sure where to go. So we also added this line to guide the guests to follow like the whole flow. Like they will go to the download flow and then they will go to the Zoom and they can leave a comment before they leave. Yeah, so it will look something like this. Yeah, we took some screenshots from the playtest. Yeah, where we have the concept art and the controls, and then this is where they can download the build. And then this is from the Toad perspective, and will mainly be at the Zoom area. And then they can leave a comment, before they leave. Now, so Bob will be sharing more about the experience flow. Yeah, Bob.
So this kind of implies that everyone will play the game all at once. But I think the reality is you can only get 4 guests to play. How are you going to select people?
Yeah, so the idea for now is as one of us will be hosting, so one of us will join as a spectator for one of the game, and then we will show the gameplay. So we will showcase one gameplay at each time, But if any point of time, like the guests want to create more rooms to play, they have the flexibility. Yeah, because if they watch the game and then they understand. So during the playtesting, a lot of them want to create multiple rooms. Yeah, so like we want to give them the flexibility to be able to create multiple rooms as well. So we'll only be showcasing like one room, but then they can also create other rooms and play among themselves. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I think that could work. Guests will have no idea they can do that. So I think you guys need to get them to understand that this is about go ahead and download and make your own rooms.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be so like for all of the teams, especially going to jury, like all of this stuff, like your guests will have no idea. And so I think the idea of make a room and play, and like basically get that set up and encouraging guests to do it. Because as I was doing it, like I was uncertain if it was my job to make a room or not. And I think that's a little piece of the uncertainty you want to like think about. How do you get guests comfortable with that idea? I think if you get them there, it could work really well. Like the idea of having a browser to like see those rooms and all that stuff. Now, one of the things that it will give you is those people won't be connected. And it was noticeable that there wasn't a lot of discussion going on. And so I think the world kind of like works without having like a social connection in terms of talking. But that's another thing to think about is, do you want, if you're sharing and watching a world, what are the spectators seeing? And you're going to have, if you're sort of like, if your Zoom is disconnected from the rooms, like the playrooms, you'll get the ability just to sort of see and watch it. But you may lose some aspect of its like the starting and the flow of it, and making it feel like a singular event, as opposed to it just what it may turn into is just you can watch streaming games. I think that's one thing to think about is for the audience, what are they doing? And it looks like what you're describing here.
So the audience can either watch or they can create their own like room and play. Yeah,
and I guess one of the things I'm wondering then is like for the audience watching, like what does that mean? Like, is there always a game just visible and it's just on the screen, or are they waiting to come into the beginning of a match, things like that? And so from this, it's not exactly clear like when matches begin and when they end, and how your guests navigate that concept. If they make their own rooms, then they're in charge of the beginning and the end. And so that makes sense for the active players who are making rooms and managing them. But in terms of how that's connected to Zoom, it's a little less clear, like what beginning and end means for that.
Understand. Yeah.
And I think getting that clear for jury will be important. And I think in some sense, it's okay. Like if you want to just own the idea that the Zoom room is always on, and it's basically just always showing a match, and it's sort of like a passive place to come and see what it looks like that's one way to approach it. But I think be clear about that. Be clear that the Zoom room is designed for this. Like you can come in, you can just sort of see, and it gives you a chance to just sort of like see the currently highlighted experience, and you can then leave and go make your own room and play with people who join. But I think that's a piece of this that I would clarify.
Understand. Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is the asymmetry of this is working pretty well. And so I think just clarify the guest flow and the experience of like how you want to incorporate Zoom. And then I think there's a little bit of just plussing up these moments. And I appreciate the tutorial at the beginning. It's a little long, and I'm not sure I need it.
There's the option to skip. Because just now I think your screen wasn't fully, so it's at the bottom.
I know, I saw the option to skip.
Yeah.
But I would consider like your world has the controls in it, and I think I would think about splitting that out, possibly into the space, and so people can like learn how to play through another means.
Oh,
And I think it's just a question of like it's a little bit more just like controlling the guest experience and streamlining things. Like I will not skip a tutorial if I haven't seen it before. And so putting the burden on the guest to know if it's important for them to know this, they don't know. And so I would say like the flow of the experience, make sure that it's sort of like it's the essentials. And then where and when do they learn what they need to know? You might put that more external to that thing. But I think I learn more about the game by playing it than by watching it. And so I think I would sort of get that. I think you can cut the beginning tutorial down into just sort of like the actions as opposed to having me sort of like learn the click through and stuff like that.
true. Yeah, understand. Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, really good work. Like I said, the like getting a chance to like feel the asymmetry and try this. One of the things that would be interesting is like replaying and like going in and like being a different role. And so one thing to also consider is getting more control over which role they take on. My guess is is the ghost assigned to like the first person in the room or something like that?
Yeah, the host is the ghost. Yeah.
So that might be another little thing to think about, but that might, you probably, like some of the stuff you don't implement for jury, you just sort of like, it could be things you might be like iterating for festival. But yeah, great work, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that was team 38. So team 39, get yourself ready.
So I saw Mo in the room, so I built a Mac build. I'm not sure if that's allowed or not, but if you want to, yeah. So I built it like when this class started, just being clear about that. So if he wants to play the game, he can. Honestly, right now it's a track record of 50-50 whether the Mac build works or not, or on which devices it works. So like.
Those odds. Let's
go for it.
All right. So for playing logistics,
can you send me a link though?
I'll send you the location on Perforce if that's all right.
I can get it set up.
Okay.
So
for Mo, this is the location on Perforce. For the rest of the class, if you are using the rest of the class.
Oh, do you have Perforce access?
No.
I'll get it for you.
Okay. Thank you.
For other players in the people in the class who want to play, that's the location on Perforce for the Windows build. Logistics about running this game. Dave, if you could just be the first person in the room. Just for the sake of presentation, that's about it.
And let me get this together. That looks good. Syncing. Almost there. Give a little bit of wait.
Should we download the whole folder or that only the standalone exe? Because I download that one, I just cannot run.
All right, yeah, download the folder. Download. Yeah, just download this entire folder. 4 to 10.
Come on, copy.
And if the people who are not Dave could not start playing just quite yet.
Almost there. All right. All right, that's there. Last step. All right, finally. All right, Mo, here's a link. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. All right, I'm gonna start the tutorial. Grab the sand. Wait, that's discard. Drag. Up that down. And this down. This. Iron. Whoa.
What's happening?
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to succeed, though.
You know, I've encountered this before. Alright, yeah, so that was the 50-50.
Alright, there goes the hero. Alright. I lost. Okay.
Now people can join.
Can people join while the game's running, or should I wait?
People can.
Hi, can people leave first before, can Dave be the only one left in the room first? If you're in the room now and you're not Dave, can you please leave first until this is players in room 1.
Oh, sorry, how can I join the room?
Alright, yeah. So to start the game, you can click skip tutorial to join the room. Yeah, thanks for that.
right. What's going up? This is like 4 is the minimum number to play. All right, let's get this going, I guess. There we go. Ooh, there's different colors. I'm gonna grab stone. Done by the spikes. Make it interesting. Just stall here for 20 seconds. Traps. That's gonna make life interesting. Trap. Some good traps laid up here. We can't just block the door here, can I? All right, let's see how it goes. And slowing it down. We got the spikes are working. Nice. I think these last few spikes are going to be our. There we go. Alright. Poison bats up here. Go that way. Where else is it go? Walls up. Get it. You're gonna go all the way down there. Let's see, the question is routing the hero down and around here. Big wall forces the issue. So we got some questions like, can we put a wall right here? Yes, we can. There we go. Uh-oh. But does the hero go through this one? Yes. Looks like the hero will go through that one. That's good. And through some sand. Now it's not clear where it needs to go. What? Go trap there. Guessing the hero going through the magenta is adequate for going through the vat. It's not super obvious. Right. One vat looks covered. 2 vats look covered. I'm inclined to say just wait this out. No need for other stuff to go on. Alright. Spikes. 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 I feel like I know what's gonna happen here. There we go. 1. Magenta was clearly the adequate pressure. Yay! Alright. This level has a very different look and feel to it. What? teleporters. Let's see. I'm going to guess. Oh, okay. These. So I'm guessing this over here is not a teleport, but these down here are teleporters. And where does it even come from? Definitely. I'm guessing I can go through this teleporter myself. There we go. So here's going to go down this way, through here, and then the goal is to get. Interesting. Can we get? Where did the hero go? What's their line going? Down here. Alright. Okay, let's follow that. Still trying to go. Whoa. Where are they going? Let's see if that works. Like the hero is doing everything in its power to not go this direction. Not too sure if there's a way to work with this. Now the hero is just completely. How is the? I'm guessing the hero's path changed quite dramatically. Going through here, and through there. I don't know. I don't know if there's any way to change this. We lost. Yay. 4-2. Passed. Yay. 4-3. Oh, failed. All right.
Okay. Did everyone see the same thing as Dave? Because from what Zoom looked like,
I was seeing the same thing, yeah.
What?
Oh, what? No, that seemed okay.
Wait. Right, that's something we did not encounter even when playing the build version.
Should it look different?
Yeah, I can share. You can download the video, but it's 2.33 gigabytes, so I can just screen share it. That might be.
Wait, I guess what? So was the screen share not working?
It worked.
It worked. Just the 13 didn't look right.
Or a lot of the visual pipeline was like didn't really turn out right. Let me pull up the video if that's okay.
Okay, I guess I'm a little confused of like what was not right.
Right. So this is all of mostly the third environment looked very much not like this. Did it look like this?
No, it was very, for me, it was like sort of like blown out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, same.
That's interesting because I did record this with the build version. So
Okay. I mean, for me, it was, you know, it didn't strike me as like all that wrong. It just seemed like a visual choice, but it's good to see like this is kind of more this feels more visually in line with the other levels. So it's just sort of good to sort of see that.
Right. And there's some other pipeline things that we did not come across. Like, I think when you were playing, there's some artifacting on these UI that didn't happen.
Sure.
But, you know, it's much cleaner when I played it with the build.
Cool. So we played through this 3 levels in progression. It was definitely, man, so like the last level especially felt it got to the end, it was like, well, I don't think we can beat this. And it was almost like a puzzle we didn't solve correctly was kind of like one of my reactions. But that said, the progression was interesting. The collective stuff is working really well. I mean, I think the fact that this whole idea of a shared space, and we are these minions building the stuff together and trying to sort of like coordinate almost silently based on where we play, is really like, it's really compelling. Like I like that concept. One thing I felt like, so the levels are actually they're different and they're sort of interesting in where they're different. The first one sort of like actually feels like it's the fullest in terms of like it uses all the features of the space, because it's just about slowing. The first one is just about slowing the hero down, right?
Yes.
And one thing that struck me is that like in the second one, and even in the third one, there's no reason to use spikes or sand because it's all about constraining the hero's path as opposed to constraining the hero's speed. And when we were doing the second one, it's sort of like, do we like, you know, the putting sand and spikes down is certainly something we can do, and it's in theme, and it's sort of like part of like, if we're minions trying to, you know, make the hero's life harder, it makes sense. But the goal is clearly just get the hero to walk to the magenta, through the magenta parts of the vats, and then we'll be done. And so there was a little bit of, in some sense, the goal sort of like simplified the level down to a point where it may have gotten almost too simple. Where like the strategies that we were using collectively were more complicated than the level wanted us to do. Like we were putting like sand and spikes down. It's like, oh, I can put this here and like the hero will go through this. It was actually like a pretty tough path for the hero. But at the end of the day, the level's like, no. Just deal with the vats. And so I think looking at the balance of those levels is a point of iteration of like, how do you sort of like let the team have, you know, interesting use of these 3 materials across these levels. I really like the fact that there were different levels and that we had sort of different challenges, and sort of the layout was like forcing things, and like, and just the challenge of like, how do we get the layout to work, and how do we sort of like put walls and make that happen was interesting. And like I said, it's in some sense like the fact that those other 2 resources weren't necessary was just a minor distraction as opposed to an overall thing I was worried about. But I definitely like the question of how do you tune levels and make it build to the last one and be interesting. I think the last level is not, I think it needs iteration. And looking at the zoom out and like the final thing, my guess is what you want the audience to do is have to bend the hero back across the bridge, and go through the portal sort of like in the direction it goes. And in some sense, like those portals have, the hero has an implicit direction to the portals, which is, I think, something that wasn't clear. Like the hero is going to be finding sort of like the shortest path. And so like how the audience plays with the hero's AI in some sense starts to be a challenge in that last one. But the idea of portals was exciting. Like just the question of like, how do I use these? The fact that we can go through them was a great escalation from the first two, which sort of got us the idea of walls and stuff. So I like the flow. I like the fact that there's sort of like the levels build. I think the third level just sort of needs. I felt a little cheated when I realized that we had basically built ourselves into a place that we couldn't recover from, and it was sort of almost like a trick to the level as opposed to like what we were really going for. And then the ending, like I was a little surprised that you had this like add up of like you passed, you failed, and the final answer is you passed. And so I appreciate the fact that there was like this recap. I was actually wondering about like, is this ending? And because we had this progression of like you do the next one, but it was unclear to me what ending meant. And so it turns out that it's 3 levels, and then you get sort of an evaluation screen in the 3rd level. And I wasn't really set up for that, so I wasn't really sure from an audience perspective like how much to expect in terms of like the play and what done means. And so I would wonder a little bit, is there a way to like set that up at the beginning so I know I'm sort of in for a sequence of 3 levels, and then at the end of the 3rd level I'm going to be evaluated, and things like that. And to that end, like what does pass mean was a question in my head. Like I knew we passed the levels, but passing all 3, like I guess if I had to like make a guess about the final evaluation, it's if you get 2 or 3, if you pass 2 or 3 of the maps, then you pass. If you only pass 1 or 0, then you fail, would be my guess. And so I think that would be another thing, just like the ending moment of like, yay, we passed. Like having, I think there's a little bit more of like getting me ready for that and making me understand that a little bit better. Mo, you got some thoughts?
I'm drawing my thoughts. One interesting thing is it seems like that first experience, not even the tutorial, but the first level they played, visually didn't seem as much was considered as the subsequent levels. And most likely your guests in a festival type format that's gonna get the most throughput, right? Is that first level. So I'd love to see you bring that up to an art level that the other levels are at. I added a similar take on the 3rd one. It felt like, oh wow, this was like a really wild, interesting choice, but I was kind of like happy with it because it seemed like there was a large amount of work put into making it look that way. But even in the video, there was still more of a kind of a target that you were hitting in with the lava, and that broke up your color palette in a nice way. And you start doing it in the 2nd one, like the purplish pink cauldron is like really welcome, and the little spots of green, because it breaks up the space nicely. And I could just see you utilizing that ground texture a bit more to make the worlds a little bit more interesting. Also, the kind of shape of these cauldrons kind of made it read more like it wasn't totally clear that they were on the ground. I thought these things kind of were hanging from the ceiling like a chandelier. So I had some perspective issues kind of situating myself in this environment. So, maybe cast some really obvious shadows that would really help. So putting a little effort into lighting that, like you see how dark this wall is and then how light this ground plane is, it just makes it look like, a lot like computer graphics, and, some ambient occlusion or some light hitting this wall would really help, or blending those 2 things together. So expand your palette, especially on that first one. What is the environment? What's the art direction? What are you trying to achieve? Formalize that, implement some of it. That's going to be what most of your audience experiences. And I think from a gameplay point of view, what you guys need to balance is, it seemed like, at least as a spectator, that a lot of the puzzles were either really easy to solve or really hard. And I think the first one, making it easy, makes a lot of sense. But then you obviously need to progress it in the right way so that it gets harder, and really ask yourself, how many solutions are there to this problem? And I think that will help you.
Well, and I think to that end, the question is like, also, where do you want the difficulty to come from? And the third level, the difficulty came from the level, and so it's like a trick to the level. But what I liked, I think where this felt the best is the difficulty comes in executing as a team. Like there were some moments in here where there was a spike trap like really close to the resources, and it was kind of frustrating. But it was frustrating in a way that we had done to ourselves, and like dealing with that. And so like working with the collective, we're our own worst enemies, I think is where I would look at this in some sense. The thing for me, like if I were to like map out like what is level design for this, it's the team can kind of see the shape they need to build, but coordinating that as a team gets tricky.
Yes. Yeah.
As opposed to the team has to figure out that shape, and figuring out that shape itself is hard. And I think level 2 does a good job of like highlighting shape, because this is really just about bending a path that goes through these two vats, and facilitating that. And I think level 2 for me is the one that has the strongest pattern of level design for the way this works. What's interesting about that is it actually it doesn't really use the spikes or the sand pits. And I think what I would look at is, how do you incorporate, basically, what is the magical combination of level 2 and level 1? And that's maybe what level 3 wants to be. As opposed to level 3 being a brand new type of puzzle that is sort of like a surprise, given levels 1 and 2.
So I just want to make a couple other notes. These boxes around all of your user UI design are like really heavy-handed. It may not be totally necessary, but they're just kind of messing up the room. So try to keep things clean and organized in a way that you're putting up essential information and you're making it clear and visible. And then the other thing is, like, this knight is like the hero model is actually really cool. And so again, it just kind of goes to the point of like, no one really sees that very much, right? Like, it's very small on screen. So invest in the big things that, that we're seeing, like those ground, the terrain and things like that.
You guys want to bring up your theming plan?
Yes, I can do that.
Let's do it.
Thank you for the feedback. It's very welcome. Oh, sorry, it's on the same page as my notes document, so let me just pull that out really quick. Cool. All right, so once again, we're the Demon Lord Construction Corporation. I feel like our title rolls off the tongue quite nicely. So for the exterior concept art, the room will be surrounded by walls, and then there'll be an entrance and exit will be very similar to the models that you see, or will be stylized similarly to what's in the game. And we'll have like a big banner that makes it very explicit who we are, kind of in the style of like a construction road sign. So interior concept on guest flow. So the entrance, they watch the trailer, chat booth, download station into the Zoom pool, and then chat booth, com booth, and outwards. And this line we will actually draw on the floor, and it's kind of mimicking the hero's path. So yeah, we're kind of have that theme going on. And aside from that, again, reusing models from in-game, and then adding a lot of like warning signs to kind of give the vibe of this is not a very safe workplace. There's no OSHA here. There's no workers' compensation. So good luck. Okay. So going through the guest flow. So this is pre-show before guests start playing. Sorry. So walk through the trailer. If they have any questions, they can enter the chat room, and then someone will be stationed there. Then download the build, and then they join Zoom. So once there is one Zoom room, and there is one share screen, and that is a team member who is sharing the screen what's currently happening in game. And so that team member will give any necessary announcements, for example, like whether there are openings or any commentary and otherwise. So guests can watch other guests play while waiting in the queue. We think that one of the sparks for someone to play will be that they see someone do something poorly or see a player kind of mess up and they're like, oh, I can do this better. So they will open up the game themselves. You can see there's a tutorial, they can choose to play or they can choose to skip, and then they will enter the lobby. So they'll join the multiplayer action. If the room is over capacity, they won't be able to join, but they will still be able to spectate. So currently, like, player limit is 10. So if the 11th person joins, then they'll still be able to watch, but they won't be able to like join the action like as a player. So running experience is the gameplay loop that you mostly experienced, which is guest builds obstacles in order to achieve the floor's objective. And after each round, the floor is evaluated based on whether the objectives are met. And then after the guests win or lose, they can choose whether to progress to the next round or just like quit, like I've had enough today. So finishing the experience, when they exit the Zoom call, they have the option of going to the comment booth or the chat. They have the option of going to the chat booth here or leaving comment at the comment booth before they exit. And then going back to the idea of guests can come back in to see the final evaluation, the cumulative evaluation is that when guests come back to this room, they don't have to open up the game. They can just join the Zoom call to see what the results are. And that is kind of like a smooth integration. So guests and spectators are people who like Demon Hero games or things that are a little bit darker in tone, but still comedic. Families, groups, definitely people who are looking for the social aspect of festival, and strategy and tower defense game fans, common genres. And some operational logistics. We very light. We only pretty much require 2 people. One is to manage the BVW room, and this would be, if you remember here, the chat booth, just someone to answer questions, and if anything else chaotic is happening in the CloudWorks room, they would handle that. And then the other person will just be in the Zoom room, and they will be sharing screen. They will be monitoring the calls, so making announcements and such.
Cool. Is the plan to have just 3 levels, or are you plan escalating this to like more than that?
So the ideal is always to have more than 3 levels, but if we do pass, we'll have a conversation saying that, asking how much our artists will feel up to, because it is a lot of environment design to create more levels. We do want more than 3 levels, so maybe it's 5 levels, but with objectives recycled and repurposed. So we plan on having more than 3 and having experience longer than what we just experienced here. But how long that actually ends up being will take a little bit of finessing.
Well, and the reason I ask is, you have in this flow, like, yes, coming back and watching the conclusion of the experience,
Right.
but right now you're at a duration point, which is sort of like awkwardly in the middle, where it's a long single experience, or a short, like, come back and see the results experience. And I think you guys want to have some clarity for jury of like, what are you expecting? Is this like people drop in and can just join the work in progress, in which case there's an idea of like sort of a long stretch of activity that has a conclusion? Or is it more you're the whole experience, you're there for it, and it's this contained thing? And I would think about like, what do you want that to be? And I like the idea that there's sort of a meaningful conclusion, like the idea of evaluation, but evaluation in those two scenarios is kind of different. And I think that clarity might be necessary. Like, is it, for instance, is there a more analog evaluation of the experience if it's a contained thing where it's like you guys a team, like, here's your first thing, get used to being a team. Okay, now this is the room where like I want to see what you got. And like how well you execute that room is like a score, and you can get evaluated. You got an A+, and another team could get like a D-. And there's sort of like a sense of that, versus there's like 5 levels, and over time we're going to see if you guys can do it, and we're going to come back and be like, hey, if 4 out of 5 are passed and things like that. And they're different. I think they're different. They have a different feel for the guests. And I think as a team, think about that and decide how you want this to sort of be delivered to jury in that sense. Right now, I would push you towards the simpler one, which is fewer levels and a sort of a meaningful conclusion for that experience, as opposed to try to build more content and make it something that no one person is going to experience all of. But I mean, overall, I love how much you're thinking through the guest experience, and you got something that's very different, and that core is working really well. So I think just now, like, that iteration of what is like the complete experience you want to deliver to jury, and how do you want them to sort of like get a sense of that? And it's I would say it's like 90% there. There's like just some decisions now to make of what does this mean in the context of that sort of like complete experience.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was Team 39. So let's get Team 40 up and running. We're sort of can feel time slipping away from us. So we'll see where that puts us. Team 40. How do you want to do this?
We only need 2 players. So, and the player who joined the room is going to be the knife hand. The player who created the room is going to be the holding hand, studying the food. So, and Dave, we would really love you to join the room to be the knife hand.
Okay, so I guess, do you want me to run it now? I guess.
Could Annie or Stephanie create the room, and then Dave can join from there?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. Let me know when I should join.
You can join. I already made the room.
All right.
And Dave or Stephanie, can you share a screen?
I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Thank you.
Go. I'm going to join the kitchen. I'm ready.
Oh, and Dave, remember to share sound. So
it should be shared?
Oh, it's perfect.
One time. Oh man. All right. Back and forth. Up and down. Can't cut without holding the food. All right.
All right, ready?
I'm ready. All right. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. It says there. Fingers left. There we go. All right.
I'm holding it.
Oh man. Whoa. There we go. Little jumpy.
Okay. Let me move my finger. Okay.
Yeah, man, the food's been a little bit.
Okay, let me. Oh.
Whoa, I think I still have
Okay.
fingers.
We still, yep, still have all our fingers.
All right, that last piece is a little chunky. Okay, it's going in the stew. And all right.
Oh gosh, it's slipping a lot. Oh
Oh,
no!
Oh no, that's not good. Make some potato chips.
Okay, wait.
I'm worried about those fingers right now.
I think
Gonna get your hand on there.
Was that?
I think that's a bug, as though we're still polishing the game. So.
All right, gotcha.
Okay, wait. Huh. So, for some reason, my hand won't move out of this position. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Oh.
All right, we lost 2 fingers. It's okay. We weren't important fingers.
Okay.
Oh man. There we go.
Nice.
It's a little bit bloody. It's
I
fine.
have -1 cuts left.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
Don't worry. You got 3 fingers left. We're good. The chopping.
I think you just encounter the bug where you just cut too quickly, and the server is not quick enough to react to your reaction.
Okay.
Your action.
Oh, the goal was to put the garlic in whole.
Oh no.
But yeah, that's it.
We did okay. Awesome. My mouse. Let me sort of close this down. All right. Man, you guys you guys know what your world is, and you can sort of feel it. Like this is about like that setup. It's like the kitchen is a dangerous place. 3 chefs go down. The guy sweeping the floor, he's been brought in, and like it's dangerous, but you're gonna make it happen. And like just the choices, I think, really reinforce that really well. Like you just sort of like the knife is dangerous. You get that those stakes are set up at the very beginning. Like we know blood is coming, and so it's like always, it's like there in our heads that this world is going to embrace it. And the fact that you give us a counter with the hand, with fingers left, lets me know that this isn't like, oh, I might need band-aids. Lets me know that we're going to be losing fingers if we do this poorly. So I think just establishing that, like that, I mean, it's a UI piece, right? Like you say, like fingers left gives me a sense of the world and gives me a sense of like where this is going. I think that works really well. And so the chopping like has that in the background. Like I know as I'm doing this that's the danger, and I don't want to cut fingers off. At the same time, I sort of know that's what the world expects. So there's like a good little balance of from a game perspective, I have 5 fingers to work with. Like if we chop one off, it's okay. And I think that's kind of that was sort of like the message of the world for me. It's like it's okay to lose your thumb and your index finger. It's okay. And so I think, like I said, you guys know the world knows itself. I think you're using that really well. The chopping was like, it felt good. I think we ran into some bugs, so it's a little bit like where was it buggy and where was it, doing what it's supposed to do. But the fact that it's an up and down motion made me feel like it was chopping. And in fact, which one was it? I think it was like the baby corn or something like that. Like there was a chopping thing where it's like just going fast, and it felt and sounded like chopping, which was one of the more satisfying moments in this.
Yes.
I think I noticed the progression for myself. Like the steak was really awkward for me.
But during the stage, I mean, the like chopping actions, if it is too quick, the server is not fast enough to react. So that may just create that bug. But yeah, we're aware of that.
Yeah, and I think you guys are like, the chopping is great as interaction, but it's like, it sounds like it's fighting against the technology.
Yeah.
And I think this world gets exciting when the chopping sort of sounds and feels like chopping, which is fast chopping is both exciting and dangerous. And getting there. And it's interesting, like the steak at the beginning, you don't chop steak like you chop, something small and skinny. And I don't know how much just like the form factor of the food, like puts me in that mindset, and how much it's the mechanics. Like, does the game know about like having to get high enough to clear the food and things like that? Is that part of the mechanic? Or is a chop the same regardless of the form factor of the food?
I think the mechanics is aware of the food. Like,
so I have to get the
knife different height of collision box, I think.
Okay, so there like different size food I have to get it higher. So a small thing I can do fast chops, but a big thing I can't, because I have to get it clear of the collision volume to go through it.
Yeah, you have to exit the collider first and then enter.
Okay, I mean, and it felt like that. Like it felt like I was chopping the food and the shape mattered, which is why like the skinny things felt different. And it's a piece of it I didn't sort of like appreciate, but it is, that's why like a big fat onion is harder to chop, is you have to get a higher chop, whereas something small and skinny, you can get a smaller chop. And that stuff felt the best. And also the moments of like the food slipping. I mean, there was like Steph and I were like having to talk a little bit and like coordinate. And so like just good back and forth between the guests. So I think all that stuff is working really well. It's a little bit just like in the bugs of like getting that to match. I will admit that the end the garlic at the end felt a little anticlimactic. And part of it was it wasn't chopping, but I think my intuition as I went through that for what is going to be hard shifted a little bit. And I don't have a great, like, I think one of the realities is I don't have a great sense right now, like what made different things hard. And if I had to look back, it was the bigger things that were more intimidating than the smaller things. And I think it might be that bringing the knife up high and having to chop it down and with precision was where it was hard. And so a mouse movement that's so like short and small was actually easier to control than a long mouse movement. And so it's kind of a game feel thing of iteration of like, what is the game feel of easy and the game feel of difficult? And my reaction at the end was the game feel that I was expecting around the garlic wasn't as intimidating as, say, like the onion felt, just because the onion sort of felt big and awkward. But I think it's sort of like a credit to like the world does a good job of like setting up those expectations in terms of like my intuition just for food in general, but also the actual the gameplay that you guys built. I thought the ending was great. I liked I was wondering, like, are there going to be fingers coming out of this? And you delivered it in a way that like hit it really well. And so I think the full loop worked especially well in this. Mo?
So I think Dave is hitting on something really important. I mean, the better you can make this chopping feel, like the user experience of handling the vegetables and making that chop feel like you're actually chopping it, the more successful this is going to be. I think you guys are nailing it in terms of knowing what you're making and digging into that. Like the ending was super great. I mean, it was really clever to have the soup. I wasn't really I was like expecting something, but even when I saw it, the fingers pop up, it was so like delightfully unexpected and weird that it was really quite perfect. And the guy giving a thumbs up or whatever he was I mean, those are great choices. But how did you implement the chopping of the vegetables?
Martin or Wes, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so basically it's like there's a collider on the knife, and the collider on the knife needs to collide with the cutting board so that to make one cut.
Okay, so you're interacting with the cutting board, not the...
Yeah, actually you're interacting with the cutting board.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know there's, within Unity, there are ways, this is like a common mechanic, right? It's like you want to procedurally cut up geometry on the fly and cap it off and create new shapes. So I probably, it's a risky pivot, but I would probably look into that, because I think you'd get a big payoff to really feel like, if I cut it slightly at an angle, I'm getting that vegetable cut slightly at an angle, right? So that that cutting feels more exact and precise. Because right now it didn't look like it did. Maybe it felt better than it looked, but there was a couple of little weird things too, like the carrot was kind of sliding, even though it looked like Steph was like holding it in place. The cutting board is a very similar color to the objects you're cutting. So I think just from an accessibility point of view, a clarity point of view, just find a easier color to see, like a carrot against it, something that's very different color from the objects you're cutting. I also think you could think about, Dave kind of touched upon, like, do you really cut meat that way? Well, I think one way to go is even, maybe it's a little risky, but making it even sillier. Like, just the more things you're cutting, the sillier they get. So maybe you start with a carrot, but I don't know what that would be, but it's something to think about. Yeah, I really like this, and I think Dave's reaction was priceless of like, yeah, it's okay. We still got 3 fingers to work with. I mean, it made me laugh out loud.
You guys want to bring up the theming plan?
Oh yes, sure. So let me close this. So this is the design, the overall design of our tent, and this is basically the flow. So the tent from the outside is going to be with the logo overcut, with the cut mark on the overcut logo, and we don't want to show too much from the exterior. Want to lure the guest in, and then when they enter, they will notice, oh, this is a curry restaurant themed tent, and they will be first greeted with the menu stand, which basically sort of acts as our information stand. So from this menu, we're going to tell them yes. So you're going to proceed to the downloading machine, which is here themed as the kitchen countertop, and you're going to download the game. From there, you're going to go to the Zoom poll and then join the room. From there, 3 or 4 of the team members are going to be within the room, and we're going to break the guests into groups of 2. And we currently think that a group of 15 people is a healthy and manageable size. So it's going to be 5, 6, or 7 groups within there. And we are going to keep 1 pair within the main room, so that that team sort of acts as the team that markets this game. So whoever joins the game, the Zoom after the first round of the game can actually observe what is happening. So the room, the group that is left within the main room of the Zoom call, we're gonna ask them to share their screen so that everybody after them could see what's happening. And we're gonna have another team member over at the comment section or the chat box section. So they're gonna answer questions. They're gonna sort of engage with the guest audience a little bit more. And then after that, we think that the guests are gonna probably leave our room and explore what's the festival is gonna be like the rest of the festival. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got your world's very readable to an audience perspective. I think that goes well. Are you saying, so like, just for clarity, you're expecting about 15 or so guests. Is it still the idea of like 2 of them are going to play and the other like 13 are going to watch?
No, 15 people, including 3 to 4 team members. So basically, only 12 people is gonna be in the Zoom call, and we're gonna separate them into breakout rooms.
Okay.
And one of the many groups of 2 is gonna be left in the main room so
Gotcha.
that they can share screen and others can watch. So whoever joins after them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like I think it's gonna be something you want to like find a way to just feel out and play. But I think the world's credit, watching it works pretty well.
Yeah, that's surprisingly well. Yeah.
And I think that's gonna serve you well. It does feel like your world wants the guests to be connected so they can talk to each other.
Yes.
I think it's a nice part of this. So I think the breakout rooms might be necessary. Overall, I think that flow, you got a good thought on it, and I think it'll be mostly iterated through just practically trying it out and things like that.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the tweaking some stuff for jury, and I think just making the cutting, so to speak, be a little sharper. Like definitely one of my reactions looking back at it is there were a lot of false cuts in our experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I would look. I think it's connected possibly to bugs, but you sort of want to minimize the moments where the guests think they cut it and they didn't. And I think there wants to be a little bit of a like what happened and why didn't it work. If you can identify some of that might be also that might be helpful.
Yeah, we thought last night that this is going to be the version with the fewest bugs, but it ended up being a little buggy. So yeah, we're gonna work on that. Thank you.
but yeah, I mean, like a nice, like you guys have had a clear sense of this world, and it's bearing out. I think you guys have found a good place for the humor, and setting that expectation up well. And it's a really good, like simple concept, but executed in a way that feels like it's just got the right balance of, you know, interest and timing and all that stuff. So good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Team 40. Let's move it forward. Team 41, you can get your videos up and tell us what we're doing and how you want this to go.
Hey, yeah, so Dave, I believe last time you played as the chick.
Yep.
Right? So I think this time just play probably as the farmer to get sort of a sample of the world, which means that you should log in first once David gets the host up. And David, I believe you'll be sharing the audio and screen, right?
All right, so I'm logging in first, but I'm not sharing.
Correct. I think we'll have the host like free cam share.
Mm-hmm.
How many guests you want?
So we can have up to, I think, 12 right now. So anyone that wants to play, feel free, that has a PC. Sorry, Mo.
Would you like to send in a directory to the chat so that everyone
Sure,
can join?
yeah, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's in the chat.
So Dave, are you in the room? So we want to have Dave enter first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still setting up the host right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so any of you watching at home that are joining this game, just give Dave, wait for Dave to give the okay before joining. But as many of you that want to are welcome to play.
Something is bugging out with the host. I'm going to rebuild the host. Sorry. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm just gonna try to pull from Perforce again.
If you're having trouble, I can try pulling as well.
Yeah, I'm having trouble launching the host. Can you just pull the host build?
Yeah, I have the host build.
From the final folder? Okay.
Yeah.
And just run that.
Okay, so what is it? Is there anything I need to know specially? Because I've never run this before. But...
No.
Cool. Okay.
Just type in your name and then press enter and then press start room.
So Dave, I guess now you can join, and then we'll have everyone else join.
Okay, so it looks like Dave is connected, so everyone else can connect now.
Is there anyone else that we're waiting on? Because we could start with 5, but I just want to make sure that we get everyone in. Nope. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Cool. All right.
All right.
Here we go.
That's right. We want some eggs.
Those eggs that turned into chickens before will have the names of the participants in the future if this does go to festival. So that we.
All right. It's like the chickens have access to propane, have access to water. Whoa. There we go. All right. Look at that. That propane in the middle seems really bad. Whoa. So I'm like dumping water. But how the water works. I'm like clipping through a lot of these walls. You just fill up water? I guess I do. There's chicken. And like the thing here is like about these walls.
Are we optimized to share video? It's really choppy.
Would that help if I optimize?
Yeah, yeah.
On here. And that.
Is this better?
Much better, thank you.
Cool.
That out. Run down here. It seems to be smoking. Not good. This seems like a spot that's very much on fire. There's a propane tank just like hanging out. Let's watch out for that. This one, he's out. Back on fire. Hay bale. Without the hay bale, like, do I need hay? Probably not. All right.
Jack, you're just controlling the camera.
Yeah. I'm controlling the camera. Do you want me to focus on something in specific?
It might be helpful to see player views.
Yeah, we probably should add a player view.
Well, whatever Dave's seeing.
All right.
I'm walking around, putting out fires. Normal farmer duties. Kind of maze-like in here. There's definitely flames over here. Let's get those out. Some water. Around. Yay! I think I won. Eggs for everyone.
I think it would be helpful to see a player view, whether it's the chick or the farmer.
Yeah. Do you want us to just quickly restart and?
I think I'm still in the game somehow. Am I in a different one?
Oh, sorry, I quit the host. My bad.
But I'm still in it. I can share a screen.
Yeah, if I quit the host and you're still in the game, it'll just keep you in there in your own private game. We can restart it and then have you guys all rejoin, and then as Mo suggested, we'll have a farmer or a chick share their screen.
Let's do it quickly.
Okay. Okay, and whoever wants to be the farmer can join. And I think we have everybody. Okay. And I will join as well, I guess. Or not. Okay. So everything should be loaded. And who wants to share a screen?
Should we get a farmer?
Yeah, sure. Who's farmer?
I don't know. Is there a way to know yet? It's still going through like the intro.
You know what? Okay, wait. I'm gonna quit it. I'll just restart really fast. Just join again, and I'll just have myself be the farmer. That way, I can control.
Like if there's a video showing, but that helps. Probably do the video.
What did we record from the perspective of the farmer, the chick, or the host?
Yeah, the video I think is.
Okay, everyone can join now. I'm the farmer.
We just need to show what it looks like. So here's chick view. Rocking around. Getting fired over the walls. Dang. Like apply my fire to here. It's like the wall. There, the wall's on fire. I'm gonna walk through the maze. There's the farmer. Barrel here. Cool. This is what all the chicks are working with. Hay. The hay catching fire. Watch them.
Very important. It's like farmer hell. And answering your question, Thomas, clicking if you're the farmer sprays water, but if you're a chick, you just make a box sound.
Gotcha.
You can call people to your location if you need something, but all you can communicate with is box. So like you gotta go like bok 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 bok, and then come up with like, and you can hear it three-dimensionally in the scene. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about this a little bit. So the whole idea of like chicks on fire and farmers like defending, the intro has done a good job of like sort of setting that up more. I get the sense, like basically the story is the farmer wants to eat the eggs, and that kind of pisses off the chickens. There's a little bit of like fire gets introduced somehow, but there's then the threat of propane and burning down the barn, and we sort of have to like, those are sort of the stakes. And so like much clearer, and actually like when the world started for me as the farmer, like one of the things I immediately noticed, and it's one of the things that's I think really notable is the sort of the chicken view is very low. And so I can sort of just see low in the maze, whereas the farmer view is a bit higher, and the farmer could see in the middle of the space, there's like a tower of propane tanks. And so just having that as a visual, as the farmer was like, oh, okay, like that looks really dangerous. And I don't want that to burn. And so I had a much better grounding as the farmer of like what it meant to defend and what I was worried about. And I was fundamentally worried about like that tower of propane going up and everything being destroyed. And so like that just is like a sense of like, what am I doing? What am I worried about? Helped me a lot. And then from there, it was mostly my first thought was like, okay, I got to worry about these little chickens. But I sort of quickly came to the conclusion that no, my concern is things are on fire. Like my job is to actually put things out and like basically just manage the fire. And actually that I felt that worked pretty well for me. Like I was able to go around and do that. The controls for the farmer were a little like this maze space feels very tight. So walking through the maze as the farmer, I felt like I was clipping and like I had sort of an awkward third person view. And so there was the feel of this was a little awkward. Like the bucket is low, and I could put things out with the bucket, but all the water came from the bucket. Like it was sort of a weird thing. It was like I had a magic bucket in my hand that held low to the ground, and it would put things out from that perspective. And from one like it was weird. Like it had a lot of water in it, but the farmer never like picked it up and used it. It was just sort of like always in his hand. And but I got used to it. I was able to use the controls. And part of that was like the clearly when I walked up to walls and they were like glowing or on fire and adding water to them, it would make them go out. So there was enough feedback and enough of like just understanding what's going on in the world that even though there's some stuff that felt awkward, I was able to work with it and sort of achieve the goals of what I was trying to do. I have like some things that are still in my head of like, I refilled the bucket, but I never got a good sense of how much water the bucket had. So an idea of like, am I running low? I think it visually dropped on the bucket, but as a usable metric of like how much water do I have, wasn't really helping me. I never had a good sense of like what the status of the whole barn was. So I wasn't sure how well I was doing. I felt like I was doing well. So when I won, it was like, that makes sense. That matches what I thought I was doing. So I didn't have a good sense though of what is dangerous fire versus safe fire. And I think there's some of it, like the walls can be glowing red and then they can be caught on flames and then I can see smoke. And so a lot of really good stuff of like, look across the load and be like, oh crap, there's smoke over there. There's big flames. I should go take that out. And so those moments felt the best to me of like, clearly like there's something more dangerous over there. But since none of it really translated into consequences, I was never really sure what letting the fire go too long ultimately resulted in. I sort of like had feedback that this wall is just glowing and that wall over there is actually on fire with flames, but the how bad does it actually mean in terms of the world stakes? I never got connected to it, and I'm not too sure if that's there weren't enough chickens in the world to like provide an adequate threat for what I was doing, or something. But I think one of the things I was sort of missing, like, can the propane tanks explode?
Yes, they can.
So no explosions happened, as far as I can tell. And I think
none of the chicks got in.
that's sort of like what I was like the next level I was looking for is, oh crap, like this bad thing happened and now I want to prevent that bad thing from happening. So for me, like the world felt under control and manageable. And that's how it bore out. Like at the end of the day, like I think I was able to win without any explosions and any of those consequences. But the clarity of like, this is on fire, that's in danger. Like I felt much more like I knew what this world was doing and how I need to react to it. So I wasn't really at all confused, like what should I do or why should I do it? It was more just like how good was I doing or how poorly was I doing was the thing I was now missing. But I think the choices of like making the space more maze-like, it felt weird, like from a like, why is the space in this shape and like what does that have to say about the world? I was a little confused by it, but from a gameplay perspective, it helped make it interesting. Like the idea of going across the level to that and what was going on there was much more meaningful now, as opposed to just sort of like a random space. Like I said, the sort of like the centerpiece of that tower propane gave me sort of an intuition for the stakes. So like all that stuff was pretty good. As a chicken, I was wondering like what it meant to set things on fire. And so a question that's still in my head is, can I set things on fire and will they burn and will they escalate on their own? Or do I need to constantly apply fire to something to have it change state? And I never got a good answer to that. I was able to walk away and see that the hay bale was still on fire, but I wasn't sure if that was a steady state or if that was an escalating state. And because of that, I wasn't sure if this was about having a bunch of chickens focus fire on something to destroy it and to move forward, or if it was about spreading out and setting a bunch of small fires that will then escalate on their own. I think for me, that would be a question I'd have from the chicken perspective. Like, how do you coordinate that?
So do you think that's a feedback problem or more of like a like an intro, like here's how this works mechanics problem?
Yes, like but
okay.
Your goal is to get the guest to understand that idea. You could probably tell them at the beginning, but the world needs to reinforce it. And so I think just a clear progression of state. I was, as a chicken, I never saw something actually get destroyed. So I didn't know what setting something on fire really meant. Was it to destroy things, or was it to, or what? So.
You can destroy things when you set stuff on fire. It will disappear after a few seconds.
Yeah, I tested it out a few times and I backed away and I was like waiting for something to change and I didn't get a state change within a few seconds. And so I think it would take a little more experimentation, but I had a reaction, which is I wasn't able to get the feedback in the world of how long it took.
I would push that contrast more, like hay should go up like instantly, like flash paper almost, right? And the wood, you know, a couple seconds in the stone should not be burnable, maybe, right?
Yeah. Mo, you're watching the spectator view?
Yeah, I don't think the spectator view worked. I think it was confusing to watch. You were just kind of going where you wanted, Jack, and it was like I couldn't follow a thread of like Dave's thought process or the chick's thought. I don't think it's necessary. I'd much rather see the gameplay. And I wonder, I would experiment. Boy, I think you could go a couple different ways. Because it's a maze, I wonder if like a top static view would make a lot of sense, just to see, you know, maybe everyone has the same view. I do like the idea that the chicks have this lower viewpoint and it's harder to see and harder to make decisions. And that's part of the mechanic than the farmer. And that makes a lot of sense conceptually with the world. I think your setup has come a long way from last week. I would make the chicks even more menacing. Like, I don't know if we have time, but if you could bring up that concept art, I just think, you know, make them look a little, it doesn't have to be totally evil, but like, you know, more nefarious in their nature.
Like in the intro sequence, you mean? Like scarier.
The concept art that you have that just kind of says like, here's the chicks, here are the farmers, here's the fire. You do the math. You know, just like make the chicks' eyes like,
yeah, I can share,
meaner looking. That would help quite a bit. And I think it would be more fun. Yeah, I guess they do have these eyes, but here, well, I have this up. Just make the eyebrows down here, that would help.
Okay.
Help them look. It's hard to draw on this, but more evil rather than all this space. This, when you have eyebrows up like that, that's kind of like surprise. Not necessarily evil. Sure. And like, listen, you can go as far as you want with this, like, you know. But I think also their shape language is a little soft. You can make their beaks a little more like pointy or something, and that would make them a little more menacing as well.
Like the Kiki-esque, like sharps.
Yes, yeah, exactly, okay. Exactly. So, but I like the choices you made over the week. I think it's come a long way.
You guys want to bring up your theming plan?
Sure. David, you mind grabbing that?
Yeah, sure. All right. Okay, so for our outside, we're going to just put like a statue of the farmer and maybe a few chicks around the bottom. And then inside, this was This is our design for the room. So we're gonna scatter around. We're gonna have like barrels, hay bales, and then for the Zoom room itself, it's gonna be the barn. So people walk into the barn in order to join the Zoom room. And ultimately, if we get to festival, we want to have a leaderboard, which is like, so the chicks get points for burning things, and hopefully that will make people enticed to burn more things in game, but also come back later to see like how well their score holds up. And in terms of guest flow, of course, we'll enter the room, download the build, go into the Zoom room. In terms of what happens in the Zoom call, right now we have the first person connect be the farmer, but we may change that in the future. But as of right now, we have space for 15 players, including the farmer. So the host will show the host view, which we might need to tweak based on feedback, but the host will share so that no one else has to. And then everyone can connect, and the host will screen share that for everyone else who joins later or who can't connect. And hopefully we want the chicks to be in their own breakout room, where the farmer will be in the main room with the host. We want the chicks to be separate from the farmer so that they can scheme and plot against the farmer without him knowing. And then afterwards, they'll see the leaderboard on the outside, which will get updated throughout the day.
Yeah, I think you guys have hitting the main points you want to hit. I think a question of, you have a good question, which is like, how do you pick the farmer?
Yeah.
I think as we talked about, like, what is the shared view, and how do you make that work for the audience? And I think your point about the leaderboard, I think that plays into a piece of iteration I would advise is the idea of score, and so giving the chickens that moment of success of like, you burned a hay bale, you get points for that. And like in some sense that push and pull. So I think finding a way to visualize, like make that progress real in the world, and then that can become meaningful results at the end, is a good way to think about this. And I think that was one thing I was sort of hungry for, was both as the farmer and as the chickens, like, what is the state? And if the state is sort of binary, like the barn is still standing or the barn has been destroyed, then we don't have meaningful like gradations. And you've got some feedback of like, for the farmer especially, of like the fire. But I think, yeah, like if I'm a chicken and I burn down a hay bale and I get points for that, and like there's like evil cackling that goes along with that would really sort of reinforce the role, but also give me the intermediate goals of burning more things is good. And then there's that big goal, which is burning the big thing in the middle. Yeah, I think these are all the right things to be thinking about. So I think for jury, think about how you want to like get the farmer selected and get that together, and then how you want to share that screen, like what is that view, and then how do you want to celebrate that progress are the main things I would push on. Cool. All right. Good work, guys.
Thank you.
All right. And I think for the morning, we have one more team, Team 42. Thank you for bearing with us as we run a little bit long. Yeah, let's get Team 42 videos up and tell us what we need to do.
Hello.
You guys
so I think, yeah. Yeah, so our game, I think we're looking for 6 players, and I think we can play as well. And then if you want to share screen, Dave.
Okay, so I should just start the world right now?
Yeah, totally.
You can also make multiple lobbies if people from the audience also want to play.
Yes.
Like we can go to more than 6 if you want.
I'm gonna share screen.
One other thing is if you could play the tutorial build first. Yeah, we have a tutorial. Yeah.
All right.
Hello. In this game, you can click on a hexagon to jump to it. Try clicking on the yellow hexagon to jump there.
Jump.
If you jump onto another player's hexagon, you can bump them into a neighboring tile. Try jumping on this other player to bump them off the map. Icons do special things when you step on them. You can use this bomb icon to push nearby players away. In the actual game, players will all move at the same time. If you move to the same hex as another player, you'll both knock each other. They go where you were going and vice versa. Try knocking this moving player off the map. The spring icon makes you travel 2 more units in the same direction you entered it. You can use the spring icon to travel further than usual in 1 turn. Try jumping on it to reach that faraway bomb icon. You can also attack other players by sending them onto the spring icon. If you knock an enemy onto the icon, they'll keep traveling in the direction you knocked them. The punch icon hits enemies in a long line. You can hit enemies from any distance.
Let's see what happens. Nice.
The magnet icon pulls other players towards you and over you. Try using this magnet icon to flip the enemy over you and off the map. Careful! If the enemy is 2 units away when you use the magnet, they'll knock you. You might want this sometimes though. See what happens when you jump to this magnet icon. The tornado icon rotates everyone 2 units around you. Have a look and see what it does. You also have a character class in this game, and each class has a unique ability. You're currently the artist, and you can right-click to create a paint drop. The paint drop will bump enemies before they get a chance to move. Try right-clicking to bump that enemy with your paint drop. The programmer can throw out a cube to stun enemies. Just like with the paint drop, you'll cancel this opponent's move. However, you also need to jump on them to bump them off. You can use your ability and movement in the same turn. Try right-clicking to use your ability, and left-clicking to move in the same turn. The sound designer has a defensive shield that protects you from icons and makes enemies bounce over you. Right-click on this tile next to you to shield yourself and avoid getting bumped off the map.
All right.
The yellow rings are a bug. Sorry about that.
All right, let's get it going. I'm gonna see how much I can remember. But there's definitely a lot of extra clarity that I've gotten from that. I'm gonna start this. Like this room.
So how many TAs are playing? Should I come as well?
Yes.
Oh, whoa, okay. Well, I'll just hold off and see if anyone joins.
Okay.
How about that? All right. Looks like there's 6.
All right. Okay. Yes, no. I guess it just. What am I? Artist. Excuse me. Routine. That's where we are. Not what happened. All right, Annie, you got this. All right, it's not go well for our team. Double.
Yay.
Do not know what happened just now. Right. All right, was that the end?
It's a best of 3. You can keep going if you want, but yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So tutorial, like getting a sense of the different actions and the roles, and then 3v3, best of 3. One, I mean, I think the visuals and the feel of this is really, really nice. I love the character design, and like there's a lot of good clarity and style. Just like, what does this look like? And the iteration on the sort of the power-ups, the floor, the things that you can step on, like has a lot more, like, I think especially going through the tutorial, I have a better sense of like all those things. And one thing I did notice is that the clarity of the tutorial like didn't translate super well to clarity in the experience itself. So it was like in the tutorial, like, oh yeah, like this happens. And then I get to the game and it's like, wait, what just happened? Like, what just happened? And I think part of it is like there's extra spice of chaos in the world, which is a bunch of things happening at once that the tutorial, like, you don't get to experience in the tutorial. And so I sort of felt a little bit of like that dissonance. But given that, I think definitely felt a little more in control of like what's going on. There was some quieter moments of like, I was looking at the board, I was like, okay, like where do I want to go? What do I want to do? How does this work? It was interesting, like my thought process was sort of like, there's a lot of trampolines and I'm like, I don't want to step on those. Like those just feel like a bad idea. And like trying to like work out like what should happen. I definitely had sort of like a mix of a lot of moments like, what just happened? Like, how did that happen? Like the connection of like, how did I get bumped? And some moments of like, that happened exactly the way I wanted it to happen. And when there was like, that worked the way I wanted it to work, like it felt really nice. Like there was like that connection of planning and, you know, action and consequence. And then where there was places where it was like, what just happened, and I wasn't too sure. It was a little frustrating. And so I think as I'm looking back on it, like it is this all these things happening at once. So like when like 6 people jump and then their jumps interact with each other, like it is this really rapid escalation of complexity that is hard to like tease apart. And in some sense, like there's no amount of like visual explanation that can like possibly carry me through that. And so I think those moments were definitely the most confusing, of like a lot of things happening at once. And the places where it was quiet, like there's, I'm more than like 2 spaces away from everyone else. And so I have confidence that this jump will sort of be in its own space, like help me understand what I was dealing with and what I was doing. I think I guess I'll sort of ask like, you know, Annie and Steph, like as you were on the teams as well, it was hard for me to tell how much winning was a result of strategy and how much it was sort of like survival of like the things didn't happen. And there were a few months where I had what I felt like an idea of like an attacking, but I never knocked someone off intentionally throughout this whole thing. And I'm a little bit unsure how I would get to that. And I guess I'm curious, like Annie, I guess Karen and Steph, like, were there moments where did you find some strategies that you were able to like execute on?
Sometimes it depends on which role you are as. Because for programmer, it's more like we can attack, like we can stun people. And for sound designers, you kind of have to protect your teammates. So like it's different strategies for different roles. And it depends on luck also sometimes, because you can never know what the other people is going. I might be going this way once to like push them off, but then they jump the other way. So there were some strategies for me, but also some luck.
Well, and I think to that end, the idea of like I was the artist, and like the idea of getting a shield from the sound designer, I guess there was the attack and defense. Like I stopped thinking about that from my role perspective, and I think getting a better sense of like the programmer action and the sound designer action might help like clarify those roles. And I think that was one thing I was struggling with a little bit was what I saw them in the tutorial, but I didn't really get a chance to like understand those as like team strategies of like what does that mean, especially what does defend even mean, like was a little bit of a thing that it's still fuzzy in my head, because the like I guess what exactly does the sound designer do? Yeah.
So the sound designer shield, it's like when you're standing on a tile, you can't be moved off of that tile. So have people bounce over you and icons can't push you. You're basically protected from all of that.
So the shield is attached to the tile, not to the character.
No, sorry, it's attached to you.
So I can move with the shield on me.
Yeah, you can. And then if you move with the shield, you'll still get redirected to like different tiles, because otherwise, like if you had a shield and someone was coming at you with a shield, what would happen? Like who would win in that like disagreement? So, but when you're standing still, you're safe with the shield on you. Nothing can touch you.
Yeah, I think that, and so the idea is the sound designer can distribute shields to their teammates, basically.
Yeah, there's like a radius on the ability, so if you're standing near each other, like everyone can get it at once, and like, yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is like one of the challenges for jury is there's a lot of complexity here. Like the nuance of the shield is like for instance, if the sound designer had very clearly like one shield they could just give to someone, like this, I have questions of like, how often can I give a shield? How long do they last? Do they regenerate? Do they, just sort of like all the pieces of this? I think that'll be one of the things to look at is just like getting clarity to the guests of what do your actions do and how do you think about them? like I was struggling a little bit with like range, because I was like I feel like the not sure when I could sort of send my artist blob and what that meant, and how frequently I could do it. And I was sort of like finding moments. I wasn't too sure if I was hitting bugs where I clicked and it didn't register the click, and so I didn't jump, or if I couldn't jump there. And so finding those pieces, because you have so many things to teach. Like you have you can only go 1 or 2 spaces in a standard move, and so that's the distance you can go. But you have potentially a range for your special powers, and special powers have this meaning. And then these tiles have this meaning, and then this meaning gets multiplied by when you move with this happening. So there's a lot of little things that the guests are sort of learning throughout all of this. And the tutorial helps a lot to sort of like give you a sense of the all the components. And then so in game, that extra work of when these things happen, this is sort of like why this failed. And those pieces I'm sort of looking for. So I sort of came out with still some confusion about what happened and why in those moments. But I don't think I looked at any of the special powers and was like, I don't know what that does. I think I looked at them and I was like, I have now a good sense of like what these mean. I didn't know exactly how to use them now, which means meaning I didn't know how to incorporate them into a strategy, but I looked at them and was like, okay, trampoline, I have a sense of what that will do. The bomb, I have a sense of what that will do. And that mouse over on it like really did a lot to like reinforce that. And so I think you've done an enormous amount to make the pieces of this understandable, and get me to like know like what are the tools I have to work with. The next piece is sort of like the intersecting complexity, which is your world is like now about like putting these pieces together, and in each piece I can sort of like understand in isolation, but like the compounding complexity is like where my brain's hurting a bit on this. And so like the idea of defending is relatively clear, but like the idea of moving with a shield is like a complicated like extra step. And the idea of like deploying sort of like a 2-stage attack and things like that are it feels like it would take a while to get that, but it sort of speaks to the work of like getting those icons to make sense and all these pieces that you have. I think now a platform of like clarity on these pieces that I can now work with. And so now it's like getting the guests to work with those pieces to sort of string them together into strategies. Some little things, it took me a long time to notice the countdown at the top. And I think it's like these 4 like long skinny lights, or so to speak. And they blend in a lot with the screen. And I was actually starting to get confused about when and how the turn would happen. And so I think I lost that clarity. And I also struggled a little bit with knowing who was on my team. And I had to do it wasn't so much I couldn't figure it out, but I had to do some extra mental like math a little bit around, which character am I, which color am I, who's that. And so one thing I might look in terms of clarity is highlighting my teammates. Don't just rely on the color they are, but possibly like finding some extra thing which says these are your teammates and these are your enemies. But just as a note, I was a little bit confused at times. I think I actually like accidentally attacked my own teammates because they're close to me at the beginning, and it wasn't super clear that they were my team. And I would have to like look at the layout, but I think that's one thing to watch for is like the clarity of the guests knowing that. You guys want to pull up your theming plan?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead and share screen. So we're team 42 and our game's Less Bounce. And so this is kind of our general room layout. So we're thinking outside, we're gonna have 2 mascots, which are our models, our characters. And we're gonna have a sign that kind of attracts and allures players. When they walk in, the download machine will be here, so they'll download the game. They'll go to the main stage Zoom room entry point where they will play the game. There'll be 3 members of our team in there kind of guiding and facilitating the game and like sending players into breakout rooms based off lobbies. After they play the game, they can go to the chat area. There'll be a member in there as well, kind of talking about more casual subjects, how they liked the game and getting to know the guests. And then after that, the guests can go to the comment machine, they can leave a comment, feedback, and then they can leave. And this is kind of iterating that again. Guests will enter the room. There'll be a TV as well in the middle, like showcasing our trailer. The download machine where they will download the game, Zoom room. Yeah, it's all kind of repetitive.
Do you want, I guess curiosity, do you want them to play the tutorial in Zoom, through Zoom, or do you want them to play it sort of asynchronously just before they join a Zoom call?
So they can only open the game from the join Zoom page, right? So they would probably have to join the Zoom, and then we would tell them we would have the tutorial as a menu option because so we were told that we can't have 2 builds anymore, so we'll combine them into 1 build, and we would probably tell them to play the tutorial and put them in a breakout room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we would put people who are playing the lobbies into various breakout rooms and chat with people doing the tutorial in the main room.
You can also make a tutorial video to like put it on loop in your room.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think actually video might work decently well for the tutorial. The interface you have in the world does a decent job of like letting me know how things work and the clicking. So it doesn't take me much to learn the clicking. I definitely might need a little more feedback of range, of like how far away can I click? And I felt that even in the tutorial. Like the tutorial lied to me a little bit, not like for real, but it simplified things in a way that I wasn't quite sure how to execute in the real world. And I can see if you like look at the tutorial as a video, and like, so the tutorial is about teaching you like the ideas, like this is how to use it. But the world, the feedback and the sort of the interface in the world is still important on reminding me like the constraints. That's probably like the right split. But it was, I think having that ability to sort of like look at the video and like learn this stuff, I think is a good entry to this. And yeah, and so you guys will be doing, you'll running rooms and sort of be able to join the rooms. Okay, and it felt, I mean, I think the realest thing is that you've got this like 3v3, and one thing, just the question in running this will be getting people divided into teams, and how that goes. Like, is this sort of a just people who want to play, and you identify that, and they sort of filter in. Like, do they decide on the idea of teams in the first place? But I think a lot of this will just be like how you sort of iterate running this and how that makes sense. And the nice thing, I mean, your theming ties into festival really well. And so I think like celebrating that and making that really obvious would be really good. Yeah, and it feels good. I think for jury, I think your biggest danger is the experience feels complicated, and the jury, I think my first run through of like 3 matches, coming out of that not feeling like I understand how to play the game is your danger. I think your goal is jury goes through this and they come out feeling like there are some aspects of like randomness, like that the complexity sort of like creates some surprises and some like things you have to deal with, but there's like a level of control to it that they're able to work with. And so I would think about how do you get jury to that place where they have a really good 3 matches and they feel like they're able to like execute on strategy. And I might look a little bit at like dialing back some of the in the level. Like you have a lot of tiles that are these different features. So like looking down and seeing like, I felt like 8 trampolines didn't make me feel confident that I'd be able to execute strategy in this space. And so I might look at the iteration of that complexity for jury, especially given that you have the complexity of the 3 roles and how that interacts, and the complexity of the level itself. And I think, like I said, if you can get jury to feel like they worked as a team to like defeat the other team, then you're in a really, really great space. Because I think the 3v3 team thing, like being strategic and sort of having this novel game space to like fight each other in is really exciting. So just getting that experience to flow for the first time for a team is, I think, the big challenge.
Oh, also one thing we didn't show is that we also support 1v1 and 2v2 in the lobby. Like it can be started early. So whatever number of players come in, we can like fill in and like get them in like some size of room quickly. And then once they're done with the game, we're also going to change it so they get sent back to the lobby screen so they're able to filter back in if they want to. So it should be pretty easy to make sure that people get in games when they want to, and like not like have people waiting half an hour.
Yeah, I think that flexibility is going to be really good. One thing that I think is for all teams that I think guests will be wondering, and this is where your ability to like bring clarity is, what does it mean to experience this world? Like, is it, you know, what is being done look like? And guests are going to be going around festival, looking to experience the worlds, and it's nice to have the ability to like play the world again, but the world being done and the clarity of I basically have permission to leave will be something that I think guests will be looking for. And so it's not so much for you guys specifically, but the idea of like playing again is good, but most guests will be thinking about that might spark some confusion of like, wait, like, should I play again? Like, is the world designed to be repeated, or did I finish? And so watching the guest experience of like, have you successfully experienced this world is what a lot of guests will be wondering about. And so being ready for that. And so I guess for jury, especially, you want to sort of be clear that what jury just did was the complete experience for the guest. And then like, if guests want more and they want to sort of come in, you have these options. But especially for jury, the good clarity of this is the expected complete run of a world for a guest, I think is one thing you want to think about and aim for. Cool. Well, great work. I think you guys did a lot of really good stuff to bring clarity. You're taking on a sort of a complicated space. And like I said, this compounding nature of like 6 people all interacting is exciting and sort of like making my brain hurt a little bit. But the work you did in iterating the feedback has been really effective. So good job on that. All right. Thank you. Thank you everyone for being patient as we've gone way over our time. It's round 5. So of course we're doing that. But anyway, congratulations. You guys did it, like 5 worlds. We're now like over that final peak, and now it's just the downhill run to festival. It's gonna be so easy from here. But no, like really great job. This is, I think all this stuff represents exactly what like my brain was wondering about way back in August, which is what would this look like? We are building to this idea of something unknowable and like unknown, which is this online festival. And this is what it is. Like like this is like the integration of Zoom and like, you know, multiplayer in dimensions that are unusual, and like bringing in like, you know, simple game and like throwing this like monkey wrench of like, you know, 3v3 and like, you know, making it crazy, bringing in the, you know, just different theming and stories and like everything. It's so BVW, like, which is like really great to see. Like, you know, the beautiful thing about ETC and BVW is it is this thing that's so recognizable when you see it. At the same time, it's so like, you can't predict this. Like what you guys did is uniquely yours and uniquely this class's and uniquely this semester. And it's really great to see. So yeah, like you guys deserve to feel proud of all the work you've done, and to be excited about sharing it as we get to festival. So with that, we're gonna break. I'm gonna try to get some quick lunch. We'll start back up again at 1, so about 20 minutes. John Dessa will be joining us, and we'll see the last 3, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about some final stuff. But for the most part, this is try to relax and take a breath over Thanksgiving break. Think about jury. Recognize jury is like can be a conversation with real people. So you don't necessarily have to build it, but you should be able to explain it if things are going in a direction. So be ready for that. And like I said, we'll talk more about that this afternoon. And yeah, I will see hopefully a lot of you in about 20 minutes. So good work.
Yeah.